You're listening to Customer Growth Sessions, presented by Intergrowth, where we talk through strategies to help up-and-coming e-commerce businesses bring in more customers. I'm your host, Pat Ahern. Let's jump in. Okay, listeners, welcome back to the latest episode of Customer Growth Sessions. Today, I'm thrilled to bring on Jason Sealand, the founder and CEO of Mad Viking Beard. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Pat.
Our pleasure. Looking forward to diving in. So, first question I'd love to hit you with, what is Mad Viking Beard?
Mad Viking. There's a couple cool stories behind it. We've been around for about 10, 11 years now. And the Mad Viking name comes from like my great grandfather that played baseball in the 20s and 30s. So he's an immigrant from Sweden. He came over and his name was hard to pronounce and all that stuff. So they kind of changed their name to a simpler form. It was spelled way differently over there than it is today. And they just called him the Angry Swede and the Mad Viking. I can remember standing out in my great-grandfather's yard playing catch. And he probably shouldn't have been out there at the time. I was like 10, 11, 12, right? And he just told me all these like old baseball stories about how he knew Honus Wagner and all that stuff, and actually was scouted by him. And he pitched county ball. So like we live like an hour north of Pittsburgh. So at that time, like baseball was insanely popular around here. And that's kind of where I guess all of that stuck with me. And I took that name and made it into this company. So that's kind of like one aspect of it, right? Of how Mad Viking kind of started and I guess where we got the name from.
Yeah, and coming over from Sweden, how cool to hear that a Swede went over to the US and was playing baseball at that level. Stepping back, what is Mad Viking Beard, the company?
The company was an accident, a happy accident, I guess. So we kind of like, when we started, I had the need to do something different with my life. Like I was a truck driver creatively, like I did like graphic art, play guitar, stuff like that. But nothing was really like scratching that itch, I guess. And I was just bored with what I was doing. So it just, one night it all clicked. I always wanted to do something for charity too. And to figure that out and to make that happen with the company and the clubs we have now is like super special to me. But it kind of started with 5 or 6 friends out in my backyard around the bonfire, drinking beer, shots of whiskey, all that good stuff, right? And it was right around that time going into like late September, early October-ish. And we heard of that thing called November, right? And we were just talking about facial hair. And you know how guys can be. They're just like, I could grow a better beard than you. It's just like, get out of here. Like, I'm the beard guy, right? And we all just like argue back and forth. And we're kind of like, let's all shave down tomorrow. And then 6 months we'll meet up at the VFW and we will see who is the best, who has the best facial hair, who has the best beard. And then whoever wins doesn't have to buy drinks at any point for a whole year. Everybody else buys for them when they're in their company, right? So we just decided to do that. But we took it the next day, like we had our pictures of us shaved and we posted on social so we could all see it, right? And people caught on to it and they were just like, what are you guys doing? You guys are crazy. And at the time, I only had a little goatee right here. I didn't know there maybe sideburns to here, but I didn't have no mustache or anything like that. This is the first time I'm trying to grow a beard, but I was just cocky because like, I'm like, I got a pretty good goatee. I bet I could smoke like you guys, right? So that turned into like getting a ton of attention on social media because at the time on Facebook, I had a pretty decent following and so did all the other guys. Because a few of them were in bands and I was a DJ and like, so it kind of was in that niche right at the time. We got so much attention for what we were going to do. It was just authentic 5 or 6 friends getting together, right? And doing that 6 months later. But we got so much attention, like a lot of other people wanted to be a part of it and be in it. So we had to change the venue because you couldn't fit all of us into that little building. So we changed the venue. We actually started planning for a larger event with entertainment and bands and getting MCs and sponsorships and all that good stuff. And then I'm like, man, I could turn this into a charity event. There's so many people interested. So that sparked my curiosity and wanting to do something special with kind of what we were doing, right? So a couple of us in that group took this event and made it like a giant beard competition for charity. The money was going towards Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. I spent time there as a kid, and my current business partner, Jason Hall, him and I was part of that original 5 or 6 guys, right? So we kind of created the company, but that event is what sparked everything, basically. You know, it's just those guys get together, garner a bunch of attention, everybody wants to join in. And then after the event, we raised like $1,500 to $2,000 for Children's Hospital. We had bands play for free. It was just a great time. It's a great weekend. Had over like 150 competitors. So it was like, what do we do with this, right? After that success, everybody was coming down from that high. What do we do with this? And a few people asked us if we had beard products or we sold anything like that. They thought like, you know, you had products there. So we had like a donation from another beard company. And at that time, there was only like 1 or 2 that around. It was kind of the start of the beard trend in the States, right? And like I said, people asked us if we made stuff like that. We're like, no, but we can. And that's how that idea sparked. And it wasn't more than a couple months later, we were off to selling our first item online. Like I said, I built the website and I figured all that out, but I had that background as well, with computers and building websites and programming, stuff like that. So it kind of helped us get started.
That's amazing. It's always so cool when you have a business that's formed. I mean, especially in a case like this, where it's a bunch of buddies getting together, drinking beers. They come up with this cool idea of, hey, like, let's give this thing a try. It'll be fun. And it evolves into something so much bigger. So I have to ask, who actually won the beard contest?
I didn't even get to compete. Really warped into something that was very different from what happened in the agreement in my backyard. It was super different. One of the guys didn't even show up. The other guys did. A couple of them played in the band. One of the bands I played. A few of the other guys, like my business partner, he competed. But there was different categories too. So it wasn't just like best beard wins. It was like a few different categories and stuff like that. Yeah, so it kind of morphed into something way different than what we set out intentionally to do, in a good way.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So, you know, let's fast forward a little bit. You go through this contest, turn it into this really incredible charity event.
Yep.
And then you decide, hey, we're going to launch Mad Viking Beard, this brand that's going to sell these men's grooming products. I would imagine that quite a few of those early sales came from people who were either attending the event or ended up donating to the Children's Hospital in association with the event. After that initial, call it that initial wave of sales, whether it was 100 or 1,000 sales that came in, how did you drum up interest for kind of that next grouping of sales that really came through?
We got lucky with the Facebook algorithm, to be honest with you. I feel like that sparked a lot of it, but the original spark came from just all of our friend group and our following that was all talking about this thing. We were like, I remember like building the site and then being like, okay, it's ready. What are we selling? We had 1 t-shirt. We had no beard products. We had a logo on the t-shirt, and that's the name of that Facebook group, and the name of the company came from, but it was more of like a club thing to where we all just get together, drink, have a good time, talk shit, whatever, right? And that's kind of how it built, just grassroots, just being real and just friends and trying to do good stuff, charity work, right? When I first launched the t-shirts, nothing happened for like an hour, and I was like, oh no, I don't know what to expect, right? And then you just kind of like see your phone dinging and dinging, and you're like, oh my, that's awesome. And I think we sold like, still have the original email where I emailed Jason at the time, my business partner, and I said, dude, look at this. We sold over 100 shirts. This is crazy. But then it kept going. And I was like, wow, I can't believe it. So we started out just selling that 1 t-shirt, right? And it was successful. And we're like, we all threw in about $100 to $150, 3 of us. So it was about $450, right around there, that we paid for shirts and had some, and then we sold them, and then we sold past what we held. And then we just always just kept reinvesting the money back into the company. We didn't take anything from it. You know, we all had our jobs and all that good stuff. And I just kind of managed that on the side. But from that first initial success is where, hey, we should have beard oils and balms. And we just started really diving into what that would look like and just went for it very hardcore. I'm talking thousands of hours. It was, imagine, and I'm sure you're aware of it, like just starting something from scratch as an entrepreneur and then making that happen just through sheer will, because nobody's standing back there going, yay, Pat, or yay, Jason, right? Until you actually like make it, right? And I don't even consider us making it yet. There's a lot of places that we want to go, but yeah, that's kind of how it started and developed in the first early days, you know?
And I know what you mean. You don't have a cheerleading squad that's really cheering you on. If you're lucky, you might get an initial push from friends and family that are cheering for you for the first week, and then they lose interest.
They said we were crazy. They were not cheering. We do have a bunch of good friends that were very supportive. And I think that was a spark. And then, like I said, that Facebook algorithm caught that spark of all these people, like, what's going on here? And we just got tons of traffic and everything from it. It just worked out really well for us.
First, call it 100 orders come through. How did you and the team initially handle fulfillment? I would imagine it was just, you got a bunch of cardboard boxes, you were packaging everything up, you were writing everything by hand. But walk us through that process a little bit.
Yeah, it was one bedroom, my spare bedroom in my house. And we just packed everything up in there and figured it out. And we still ship out of our warehouse today. Like we're not in my spare bedroom anymore. We ship out of our warehouse today, but the girls still write personal thank you notes on each order. There may be a time when we outgrow that just because we have to, just based on order volume. I know they've mentioned it before. Like, can we have stamps? we still do that to this day.
That's wild. And what a cool touch that you get to add onto every single customer order. As the girls, it sounds like, are expressing like, hey, it might be helpful if we could start either outsourcing some of this or automate some of this. But what a nice personal touch to have on every order.
Right. Yeah, we've been in talks with 3PL. We could easily go to a 3PL right now, but that's like a growth level thing. I feel like I don't want to lose that personalization yet. With our customers, I want to be able to handle things fast and be nimble with it. And I don't know if I would get that touch or that service with a 3PL. So that's why we've kind of, hung back and kept it ourselves. There may be a time, especially with expansion overseas or whatever, that we're going to have to give that up at some point. But we hold on to it dearly right now. So
I love it. So you get a little bit in, you start generating sales. It sounds like you guys are just reinvesting everything back into the company. Yep. Walk me through, let's say, that timeline that you were all deciding, hey, it might be time to leave our full-time jobs and start doing this full-time. Mm-hmm. What were some of the signs that you and the team encountered that you said, hey, it's time for us to give up our full-time jobs and go all in on this?
Right. There wasn't really a point. It was just total chaos, and it was a slow build, and it just kept building. So like I said, we started in 2013. We decided for 3 years to not take anything from the business and just put everything we made back into it. After that point, we decided, hey, maybe we'll take a trip. So we went over to the Netherlands and took like a trip, the four of us, and brought a couple friends along. That's the first money we've ever spent from the business. I remember talking about it in 2016 about possibly this is our full-time job, but we weren't quite there yet. Plus we had thriving logistics company on the other side of it that we were running. So like Mad Viking wasn't the only business. And we had like, I think about 36 to 40 employees, about 18 to 20 trucks, like mid-range box trucks. We had a couple of long-haul tractor trailers pulling oil in the oil fields. Like we had a lot going over there. So we were juggling two businesses at the same time. But that was where our income came from was that trucking business. So we didn't know what to do with that to be able to do this. We really didn't climb out of that not knowing what to do until like 2018. We sold off the logistics company in late 2018, some of the trucking aspects of it. We kept doing it all the way up until July of 2020 is when we stopped with the logistics company. And we were doing like installations and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like we had crews in grocery stores across the Eastern Seaboard, like retrofitting like equipment in like grocery stores. It was crazy. We had our hands into a lot of stuff and we finally pulled away from that. I know myself, I've been full-time in a business since that point. That's where my main focus has been since July of 2020. But up until that point, I had so many things going. It was chaos. So I would say we knew it when we're like, hey, we have to get a warehouse for this thing. We're going to have to be there every day. There's no beating around the bush. We have to do this if we're going to make this grow anymore. And that's when we separated everything and jumped in full blast. It was in 2020 in the summer.
Yeah. And I'm sure for a lot of the listeners, they're probably thinking to themselves like, okay, I've spent a year doing this e-commerce business full time, or maybe I've spent 2 years on it. It must be any day now that I'll be able to drum up enough business with this that I can, really have this be my full-time gig. And I think this just speaks volumes to the fact that, hey, it can be a long drawn out process before you say, hey, I'm really going to step away from these other ventures and go into this full speed ahead.
I really think if I had a simpler life at that point and I didn't have all that other stuff going on, like this could have not popped off, but had a faster rate of growth, I guess. And I could have paid more attention to it and did some things to grow at a faster rate. But I wouldn't take any of it back. I mean, it's all a learning experience, right? Life and what you're trying to do with it, running companies, all that good stuff. Like it's just, you learn and you look back and that's all you can do. But yeah, but that was our path. You can do it way faster, probably, definitely with hindsight. But that's kind of the rocky road that we took.
One of the things that amazed me is doing my pre-call research. I saw, ballpark, you guys have 100,000 Facebook fans, call it 50,000 Instagram followers. You talked a lot about in the early stages, there was really this grassroots effort to build community. Beyond those early stages, though, what have you done to generate such an incredible following for the brand?
I feel like it's like just being authentic with your customers and giving them what they need to find utility in your product, like is the biggest thing for me. I'm a consumer too. Like I buy things that I like. And when a problem pops up and a company's like, whatever, sometimes that happens, right? I mean, you're just like, I really like this, but I'm not going to buy it anymore. I'm going to do something else because like you didn't take care of the small issue that I had with this product or whatever, right? And that's one thing I want to make sure, like, we always sit out and do the best we can with each customer and 100% guarantee everything we sell and make sure that they find utility in using our products and they love them. As long as you have that, you have a good product and that level of customer service, I think you should be able to grow as much as the population of your niche will allow you, right?
So I want to ask you ends up being oftentimes a sensitive question for e-commerce businesses. I want to ask you about Amazon. So I know it's always a touchy subject with Shopify store owners, but right now, Mad Viking Beard has a couple thousand reviews on Amazon. You've generated a good amount of sales there. I don't get the sense that it's your primary revenue driver, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on, let's say for early stage e-commerce businesses, do you recommend that they take the time to get set up on Amazon? Do you recommend that they go all into Amazon initially and then build up their own personal website from there? What advice would you offer for, let's say the earlier stage e-commerce businesses?
I guess it depends on your vertical and what you're trying to do. And if you're trying to build a brand, I would kind of do what we're doing now. If I was trying to build a brand from scratch, I'd put a couple core items on there, use as a top of funnel type of deal to where product discovery, people see it and they're like, well, this brand has to have more, or I really like this brand. Let me check it out. They look up it online, find your website and they're like, wow, they have like 100 more things that I might like. So we kind of try to use it as that. And I know Amazon's been very protective of holding the keys to the castle and having that mode or whatever. But that's how I would do it if I was trying to build a brand, start from scratch. If I wasn't trying to build a brand and I was literally just looking for things to sell on Amazon, then let Amazon rip. And then it's just easier to sell on Amazon. Like the profit margin is way less and it's not as glamorous as building a brand, I don't feel like. And that's why we do the things that we do. But yeah, it's tough. It depends on like the vertical, what you're selling, all that good stuff, what you're setting out to do. That's how we use it. It's not even, man, I don't even know the percentage. It's not even close to our DTC sales. Not even remotely close. I want to say like maybe not even 5%. Not even close to that. Yeah. I would say between 1% and 5% of our sales is Amazon. And we just jumped on Walmart too not too long ago. And I would like to build that up and kind of use it in the same respect. And that's what we've done. We've put just, beard oils and balms on there, a couple of our core items, and just use it for product discovery or whatever. People that don't know our brand find it on there and then find us on our website.
And apologies in advance, listeners. We have a couple of really excited dogs that just came home. I may be muting myself a little bit for the next couple of minutes just until they calm down. Assuming you're trying to build a brand, approaching it as really this top of the funnel type methodology. And I won't put you on the spot and ask you to disclose some of the tactics you've done because I don't want the Amazon gods to overhear and decide to suspend your listing. I'll say that when I've personally purchased items from Amazon, one of the things that I've seen some of those DTC stores do that works really well is oftentimes you buy a product and maybe there's like a little like handwritten note that'll be in there that'll say, hey, thanks so much for supporting our store. Come to our website. We'll give you a 10% discount or a 20% discount on your next purchase on here. Mm-hmm. Makes it so much easier for you to say, oh, okay, I'm going to go to their website, order from them directly. The business owner then gets that email and then you can remarket to them continuously.
Right.
So I love that approach of saying, hey, treat it as a top of the funnel tool. If you are deciding, hey, I really want to build a brand and use this as a tool for it.
Yeah, it's worked pretty well for us. Attribution is hard anywhere, right? Attribution is not 100% accurate, but I've seen some reviews. I've talked to some customers. So I feel like it's working pretty well for us at the moment, attacking it like that.
So Jason, one of the other questions I wanted to ask you about, I know that you have both, hired for marketing roles. I know that you've hired agencies to oversee some of those marketing roles. I know that you have personally done a lot of those marketing responsibilities as well. You mentioned you built the first version of your website. How do you typically go about deciding which marketing activities maybe make sense for you to own directly, which makes sense to hire a full-time employee for? And on the other hand, what makes sense to hire an agency for?
I know for us, I'd rather just do the fun stuff. So all the packaging design, all of the creative and stuff like that, that's what we're kind of better at here. I gave up, I think, or not gave up, but wanted to hand it over to somebody that might know more than me as far as like Google and Facebook advertising. Probably like in 2018, right around there. Up until that point, like we were kind of just handling everything ourselves in-house. And it got to the point where I'm just like, I'm not having fun with this and I want to do the fun stuff. Here you go. It's been a up and down roller coaster of agencies, just finding that right blend of them being able to help you scale and working with you and understanding the brand and the process, right? That's the hard part about a brand taking on an agency. Some just miss the mark 100%. And I've had that happen. Sales call great. 3 months afterwards, you're just like pulling your hair out. You don't know what's going on. Like, it's terrible. So to find a great agency that is actually doing the work, understands your brand voice, and will follow the instruction and also give ideas and help you scale is like a very hard thing to get But we finally found it. So we're stoked about that.
I'm sorry to hear that you had those experiences with the agencies that didn't work out. I tell people all the time that there are a lot of really great agencies out there, and then there are some not so great agencies at the same time. What have you learned in hiring agencies that just didn't work out about maybe red flags that e-com business owners should be looking for that, hey, if you see these sort of signs, maybe think twice about hiring this agency?
After the first one that didn't turn out really well, I asked to always meet the team that I'll be working with and to be able to talk to them, and then ask them questions like, have you worked with a brand like us before? What do you think of our brand? Really get some feedback, some bounce back to see how they look at your brand. Sometimes you don't get a lot of information, but like the agency that we have now is great, easy to work with. They're fast. They've exploded our email and SMS. They're great on paid. Like everything's just kind of clicking, and they understand our model and what we're trying to do. But that's what I did with them when I brought them on, was just ask all those questions. Who am I going to be working with? They literally had a team of like 6, 7 people on, just going back and forth for like a couple hours. So
that's incredible. And what great advice if you can manage to talk to the specialists. Because to your point, there are definitely a lot of scenarios where you may work with an agency, you talk to a great sales rep, and then it's almost like you sign the contract and you start working with them, and then all of a sudden you're talking to this new point of contact.
Yep.
Yeah, I know even for us, like as we've grown our agency, it's been like really challenging to say, hey, how do we find that fine balance between making sure that new clients are meeting the team, they know the people they're going to be working with, and they just have that smooth transition. But I love that approach to say, hey, see if you can talk to the team, like talk to some of those points of contact, make sure they know their stuff, make sure they understand the brand, make sure they have experience in your space as well.
Yeah, it just makes a difference. Honestly, if you don't click with the team in the get-go, it just doesn't work. And like I said, you've seen it before, trying to scale an agency, or even in like when we're trying to build, right? It's hard to duplicate yourself. And I think that's where agencies that are trying to grow might take on people for the numbers versus duplicating themselves. But we've ran into it a few times, like I said, and I'm glad we finally have it figured out, because that was something that's always, how can I get great help? But
so along those lines, let's actually say for internal hires, or we'll broaden it. We'll say for freelancers or full-time employees, but people who are going to be deeply ingrained with, call it your day-to-day work. What questions or maybe what vetting points do you look for to really find great talent?
So like you mean in-house, hiring in-house as well? It's really hard in our space to hire in-house where we're at, just because we're like an hour north of Pittsburgh, major city, and a lot of people aren't in our space around here to do work like that. It just seems like it's harder to hire. But we've had a few successes. Just recently, about a year and a half ago, hired our new video editor, and he's been awesome. A younger kid, I caught him on a YouTube channel, has a beard. He hit me up one day and was like, I want to work for you. And I'm like, come on in. Where do you live at? And we just kind of got back and forth. Up until that point, I was trying to hire a video editor for like 6 months. And I just couldn't find anybody that really, it's the same thing. Understood the brand, understand what we're trying to do, all that stuff. And with that connection, it just worked out perfectly. I feel like it's kind of the same thing, whether you're hiring in-house or an agency, they just gotta, click. Hey,
I want to shift gears a little bit and hit you with a couple rapid fire questions. Does that work for you?
Yeah, if I can answer them.
We'll see if we can stump you with any of these.
Right on.
The first question I have to start out with is, what Mad Viking products do you personally use on a regular basis?
I use our beard oil, our beard butter. I don't use our balm currently because I'm past the weird fly out stage and how my beard grows. So I don't use the balm, the style. The product I use the most is the one I created, was the beard and body lotion. It's kind of like a 3-4-in-1 product. Like, it's dry in the wintertime. You can put it on your hands, no dry, cracked hands. It's super absorbing. It doesn't leave a sheen on your facial hair or on your skin. So it's kind of like a spray lotion, like a mist pump. There's a bunch of great natural ingredients in it. So that's what I use the most. I use it on sunburns. You know, we can't claim all of that stuff because of the DNA and everything, but we've had so much feedback from it. And it's something that a lot of, well, I don't think any brands in our space actually have that product. I'm sure they're creating it at this point. It's been running a couple of years for us now. And that's probably one of my favorite products that we have just because it works so well for me. It's like fast. Some guys can use it as like a nighttime leave-in like conditioner, or like I said, dry hands, elbows, sunburns, like it just covers the gamut of like multi-use. So
I love it. I love it.
and then I
What
and then again I use our soap and our shampoos. I basically use everything except the balm at this point. So
it's the perfect product promo to end the episode. I love it.
right.
One other product promo I want to throw out there for Mad Viking Beard. What products do you guys have if you can give an inside scoop to the listeners, what products do you have in the pipeline that you're really excited to release?
We've gotten a lot of feedback from customers that want a cologne. They want all of our scents and colognes, and they want all of our scents and deodorants. So those are the next two like product lines that we're going to be launching this year. We expect deodorant to be finished up, R&D and everything by late summer, early fall. And then colognes should come midsummer here. I've actually been working on packaging, the bottles, sourcing, label design, box design, all that stuff. So yeah, those are the next two that we're coming out with.
What maybe 1 to 2 biggest challenges are front of mind for you that you see affecting, let's say, e-commerce as a whole in the next 5 years?
Oversaturation, for sure. I mean, you've probably seen it. Shopify's pushing everybody to have their own store. Have you seen those ads yet?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So I want everybody to be able to live their dream and build something, create something. But at the end of the day, not everybody's cut out to go through 5 or 6 years of hell and not maybe possibly lose their house and not pay their bills and in the mind-numbing effects of spending thousands of hours trying to build a brand. It's not for everybody, and there will be people that fail. And we've been lucky enough to not have that happen to us. So, like, I would say that's one of the big things. It's just going to be oversaturation and everybody jumping into the e-com space at the same time and just attention. You've seen that on TikTok. TikTok's totally changed from like an entertainment app to dances and all this good stuff, right? To like, I'm selling shit. Pardon my language, but like everything's like sell. And there's all these creators like selling something. Like I've personally had people tell me like, I don't go on TikTok anymore. Like it's the worst, you know, cause it's just a like ongoing commercial, right? For all these different products. And you're just like, I'm out. So that's how I personally am as well. I mean, we advertise on TikTok, but we haven't signed up for the creator thing yet, where you can get like ambassadors on TikTok, hook at products and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, oversaturation, man.
I agree. I don't know when exactly it started, but I feel like we've been going through this phase. Maybe it's been the past like 15 years where there's like entrepreneurship is seen as really sexy, I think right now. And because of that, you have a lot of people that are saying, hey, you know, I really want to start my own business. I want to have autonomy. I want to have freedom. I want to earn a ton more money and only work a few hours. And I think there's just this like over glamorized picture. I think a lot of people are quick to say like, oh, you just have to spend a year grinding and then you're going to have a fully functioning business. You're going to make a ton of money. You don't have to work very hard.
So
I think it's,
some people can pull that off. I mean, it happens. There's, like I said, there's people built for this mode of life, right? And there's others that are not. And I think like to what you're saying is like people, I believe in general, think it's sexy and it's easy. And that's how I'm going to escape what I don't like, what I'm doing with my life, right? And I've seen it bite them back. I've seen friends like spend tens of thousands of dollars on something to try to get something going, and it just crumbles, and it's heartbreaking. Like, you never like to see that, especially people and stuff like that. So anytime we have friends that are trying to do something, we equally try to go out, support them, and make those posts. And if they have offer services or anything that ties into our brand, we like to try to bring them on and help support what they're doing. Anything from like hat makers to leather makers and stuff like that. We try to give back and support other people's dreams as well, right? So yeah, it could be a tough go for sure.
Well, Jason, this has been awesome having you on today. For any listeners that either want to learn more about Mad Viking or maybe want to get in touch with you, what are the best ways for them to learn more?
They can catch us online at madvikingbeard.com. That'd be the easiest way, introduction into the brand. We do have a few Facebook groups. By few, I mean like hundreds of Facebook groups in different states and countries and stuff like that. But we do have a main group called the Mad Viking Beard and Mustache Club. You can search out on Facebook. We're basically everywhere. We're actually going live today on YouTube. We're talking with a comedian from Australia. We're going to just talk comedy, beard stuff, and have a few giveaways and stuff like that. So you can pretty much catch us anywhere online. Just search Mad Viking, and we're there. So yeah, I'd say that's about it.
And listeners, we'll share links to the main Facebook page and the main website as well, just in the show notes. So check that out at the bottom of the podcast. Jason, it's been awesome having you on today. So once again, this is Jason Sealand, the founder and CEO of Mad Viking Beard. Jason, thanks for coming on today.
Man, thanks for having me, Pat. Always a good conversation, man.
Our pleasure. Thanks for tuning in to Customer Growth Sessions. If you found it helpful, subscribe and give us a review. It helps us to grow the show. Looking for more SEO guidance on how to grow your business? Contact us at intergrowth.com/estimator or email me directly. You can reach me at pat@intergrowth.com. That's all for today. We'll see you again soon.